Well, let's hear more from the BBC journalist Laura Westbrook, who's lived and reported in Hong Kong.
So they're organised by Hong Kong's opposition group. They're called the Pan-Democrats in Hong Kong. But actually what's quite interesting about these protests is that people from all walks of Hong Kong society are joining. Schools, nurses, housewives, even parts of Hong Kong society that don't protest, like judges and lawyers, they are joining in these protests. And that's been what's quite interesting to see, that people from all parts of Hong Kong society are joining in these protests.
And these protests at scale make a serious impact. They get covered all around the world. But in terms of actually changing policy in Hong Kong, is there a track record of the opposition being able to change the government's tack?
So there is, to put this into context, there is precedent for this. So back in 2003, about 500,000 people took to the streets in Hong Kong against a law which was called Article 23. It was a national security bill that would seek to prohibit treason or sedition against the Chinese government. And back then, the Hong Kong government did bow to public protest and public pressure, and they shelved this bill. They actually withdrew it. So there is precedent for massive protests to change the government in Hong Kong. But 2003 was a very different time, and whether this amount of protests will actually change the Hong Kong's government's mind now, that remains to be seen.
I was just saying, we've got the second reading of the bill on Wednesday, another project planned. Are they just hoping to recreate what they did on Sunday, or will it be different in some way?
So all people I've spoken to in Hong Kong and the organisers have said they want to organise another protest outside the Legislative Council. They're expecting it to be also very big. And I've been looking on social media, and small businesses have said that they will shut down in order to join these protests. So I think you really cannot underestimate just how angry and frustrated people are in Hong Kong.
That may be the case, but I wonder how much leeway the Hong Kong government has to do something that Beijing doesn't like.
So yes, we have to look at this in the context of what's happening now, right? And in the last 4 years, we have seen these erosions of freedoms that Hong Kong has enjoyed. A political party has been banned. Lawmakers have been barred from running for office or even going into office, or being ousted from office, sorry. And also activists have been jailed. So what's happened in the last 4 years has been, many people are saying that there's been erosions of freedoms that Hong Kong enjoys, and this is the biggest erosion of the freedom that Hong Kong enjoys under the one country, two systems policy that sees Hong Kong has a separate judiciary, freedoms and civil liberties such as freedom of assembly that Beijing isn't allowed on the mainland, and this is the biggest erosion of that freedom, and that is really what people in Hong Kong are very concerned about.